Hey everybody, Hank Menheim here, psychic medium, intuitive tarot reader. Today I want to talk about probably the most profound spiritual experience that I've ever had in my life. I remember it like it was yesterday because it truly impacted me in ways, and I think it's still impacting me in ways. And this is when I had premonitions of my father's death. So I was 20 years old. I was living in Alabama, going to school at the University of South Alabama in Mobile. And one night I had a very, very clear, vivid dream. And in that dream, my father was lying in a bed and he was deceased. I just knew he was deceased. And I was standing on the left side of the bed. And then the next night, I had the exact same dream again, except I was at the foot of the bed. And the following night, I had the exact same dream again, and this time I was on the right side of the bed. And so when I woke up after that third dream, I just knew that dad was dying soon, but I didn't know how. Um, and I certainly wasn't going to say anything to anyone because what do I say? Um, and so nothing was really going on with my dad then. My dad had always been ill. He had a major heart attack when I was in first grade, and was disabled and couldn't work. So he always had heart issues, but there was nothing pressing when I had this dream. And I would say about 2 weeks after having this dream, I got a call that dad had been in a car accident. He was driving, he passed out, hit his chest on the steering wheel, and the car went into a ditch or through a ditch and then hit a tree. So um, that created a blood clot in his heart, or that was moving toward his heart. And the doctor said, you've got two options here. We either do the surgery, which we think your heart is too weak to do and you probably won't survive it, or we do nothing and there is a blood clot that is moving its way toward your heart. And when it gets to your heart, it's going to kill you. So the options aren't great. Which one do you want to do? And my dad just said, let's do the surgery because I don't want to be a ticking time bomb. I don't want to wake up every day and wonder if this is my last day. And so um, dad had the surgery or decided to have the surgery. The day that he had the surgery, we were driving up from Hammond, Louisiana to New Orleans to the hospital. We got lost going to the hospital, and we almost missed him going into the ER, but we got there right in time, right as they were wheeling him in. And my sisters hugged dad and gave him a kiss. And I, in my head, said, okay, I'm going to hug him. I'll give him a kiss. I'll say, I'll see you later, dad. And so I hugged him. I gave him a kiss. And out of my mouth came the words, goodbye, dad. And I stopped myself and I thought, why did I say that? Why did I say goodbye? I'm glad I did because it was the last words I ever spoke to my father. And so Um, he was in the hospital for a couple of days. My mom didn't want us to see him after surgery because when you come out of open heart surgery, there are a lot of tubes that are connected to you. You just look like hell. And so my mom didn't want us to see that. Thanksgiving was a week later. She's like, he'll be home for Thanksgiving. You can, see him when you come home for Thanksgiving, but you don't want to see him looking like this. And so a couple of days after surgery, I believe, um, I should say the next part of the story that I'm about to tell you, I've not told a whole lot of people. It's a little bizarre. Um, I've shared it with close friends, but not a whole lot of people. And that is right before my father died. This is probably 24 to 48 hours before he passes. I'm at my mom's house. And my aunt, who lived next door, called and said, hey, we're grilling hamburgers. Do you want to come over and have dinner? And I said, sure. Mom's working. My sister was at cheerleading practice. My older sister had already gone home. Um, and so I said, sure, we have no food in the house and I need to go get something to eat anyway. And she's like, great, I'll call you when the hamburgers are done. It'll take about 30 minutes, probably around 5:30. Great. So I hang up the phone. I sit down at the kitchen table. I look up at the clock and the clock says 5 p.m. I turn and open the newspaper. I blink my eyes. I look back at the clock for some reason. and the clock now says 5:35 p.m. And so I immediately stopped myself and I thought, okay, wait a minute. Did I just misread the clock? I could have sworn it said 5 o'clock. Now it's saying 5:35. And I just felt weird. I couldn't explain it, but I just, something weird had happened and I didn't know what that was. And so I'm just racking it in my head, trying to replay. I'm like, what just happened? Like, where did that 30 minutes go? Like, what's going on? And so I get up and I walk into my bedroom, which was right off the kitchen. And granted, my mom's house was about 1,200, 1,300 square feet. It's not a big house. I walk into my bedroom, the answering machine, this is how long ago this was, 1992. The answering machine is blinking one. And so I walk over and I hit the play button, and it's my aunt saying, the hamburgers are ready, come get them. And then, if you know anything about answering machines, once the message finished, there was a voice that gave you a time and date stamp. Um, and my aunt had said on the answering machine, the hamburgers are ready, come get them. And the time stamp was 5:30 p.m., 5 minutes ago. So there are four phones in that house. There was a phone in the kitchen. There was a phone in the bedroom, my bedroom, a phone in my mom's room, and a phone in my sister's room. When the phone rings in the house, you hear it because four phones are ringing at the same time. Four phones rang. My aunt left an audible message on an answering machine, and I didn't hear any of it. For 30 minutes, 35 minutes, missing. 35 minutes of missing time. And I have no idea what happened in that 35 minutes. And so for years, I thought about it and thought about it. Like, what happened in that 30 minutes? What happened in that 30 minutes? Years later, 8 years after my dad died, I would meet an amazing medium, Mary Jo McCabe, who has since retired. She was so, so freaking good. Probably the best I've ever met. No offense to anyone else, but she's really, really good. And um, in one of my sessions with her, and it may have been a year or so after I met her, so my dad was probably deceased 9 or 10 years at this point. I told her that story and I said, I don't, what happened in that 30 minutes? Like, I really wish I knew what happened in that 30 minutes. And she paused and she said, you were taken out of your body and your soul was put on a platform with your father because you had to deliver a message to him before his passing. The message was for your benefit and not for, excuse me, the message was for your father's benefit and not for you. And so I always thought about that. Like, what was that message that I would have to deliver to my father? I'm a firm believer that I came into my father's life because part of my job was to teach him tolerance. I don't know that I did that. Um, but I believe that's why I was in his life. He had a gay son because he needed to learn tolerance and be tolerant of people because my father was not a tolerant man in any sense of the word. So it always made me wonder, like, what did I say to him? What could I have said to him that would make a difference? I don't know. I don't know. Um, Soon I'm going to do like a past life regression, and I'm hoping it will come out of that. I tried to do one once before, and there was just a block there. I could see myself sitting on a bench having a conversation with my father when I was regressed, but I couldn't hear anything that was being said. Um, and so I just figured it wasn't for my benefit and it wasn't for me to know what was said to him. But I've always thought about that, and it's truly been one of the strangest and most profound spiritual experiences I've ever had, and I've had nothing like it since. Um, but I also have asked myself, like, what was the point of me knowing about my father's passing? And I think it goes back to the same thing of me knowing about what was the point of me knowing about a plane crashing. If you've seen that video that I did, and I think it's just hearing, you're listening, you're paying attention. And if you pay attention to what's going on around you, if you pay attention to your dreams, because I get incredible dreams sometimes with really vivid messages. Um, it's one of the easiest ways for your spirit team, your loved ones, to communicate with you. And my father has come back in dreams and communicated to my sister, and she also had a period of missing time, which was really interesting. So maybe one of these days I'll find out what that period of missing time is all about. Okay, that's this week's When Spirit Speaks, and I will see you next week. Not sure what I'm going to talk about in the next video, but it always comes to me. We'll see. Have a good one. Hey, thanks for watching my video. Be sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to click that little bell so you'll be notified when I post new videos.